Hey, I'm at the seashore here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and you can see there are seagulls floating around in the water. Now I'll try to hold the camera steady and tell you a fairy tale passed off as history. The so-called ace pilot Eddie Rickenbacker, who shot down a lot of enemy planes in both World War I and World War II. He was shot down, supposedly, and ended up drifting in the Atlantic. And as he was drifting, they got very, very hungry, drifting in a lifeboat. And supposedly, by the providence of God, a seagull landed on his shoulder, and they captured the seagull and ate the seagull. Hence, he did not starve to death. So, I just am telling you that story because that's what it is, a story. It's just nonsense. Aerial combat really never occurred, but it did occur in the minds of people because of photographs and propaganda films shown in movie theaters, and stories of great heroes like Eddie Rickenbacker. War is a hoax. As Dave J. says, strategic relocation, controlled demolition, or controlled firing of weapons. Now I add a third one, intensive propaganda. Propaganda in the newspapers, propaganda in the magazines, propaganda on the radio, and that would have been pretty much the extent of it in World War II. But the big difference came in the so-called Vietnam War, where propaganda was now shown on television in news reports. So one of the propaganda stories was Eddie Rickenbacker survived being shot down and floating in the Atlantic because a seagull landed on his shoulder and they ate the seagull. Well, it's kind of a gull story. But that's what it is, just a fantasy story. And that's pretty much what all the stories are about war. They're just fantasy stories with those three elements: strategic relocation, controlled demolition, and intensive propaganda. The one who is the way, the truth, and the life is the Lord Jesus Christ. And the true war that exists is a spiritual war between God and his forces and the devil and the devil's forces. And that's the war that you're caught in, not some hokey nonsense war that's reported to you in the news media with heroes like Eddie Rickenbacker eating a seagull on his lifeboat. Thank you for watching this video. End of video.